If you stop for a second and close your eyes, you probably feel like you are located in a very specific spot. Most people describe it as a little command center tucked right behind the eyes, maybe a few inches deep into the skull. It's as if you are a tiny pilot sitting in a cockpit, looking out through the windshield of your pupils at a world that is out there, while you are safely in here. This feeling is so consistent and so universal that we almost never think to question it. We take it for granted that our awareness has a home base, a specific coordinate in space where the knower lives. But when we start to look closer, not at our thoughts about ourselves, but at the actual experience of being alive, this feeling of being a pilot in the head starts to fall apart. This sense of being localized is actually a kind of optical illusion created by the mind. In reality, awareness has no location, no boundary, and no behind the eyes. The difficulty we have in seeing this is because it's so simple and so close to us that we literally look right past it. The primary reason we feel localized in our heads is quite practical. Most of our high-definition sensory equipment, our eyes and ears, is located in the head. When light hits your retinas and sound vibrates your eardrums, your brain processes that data into a first-person perspective. Because the majority of the action of perception seems to happen in this region, the mind instinctively concludes that the observer must be right there in the middle of it. We are conditioned to think of ourselves as a body-mind organism. From the time we are toddlers, people point to our bodies and say, "That's you," giving that body a name and a history. We learn to use the word I to refer to this physical form. Eventually, we stop seeing ourselves as the awareness that hears and sees, and we start seeing ourselves as the person who is limited to the skin and bones. We begin to believe that awareness is something the brain does, like a flashlight beam emanating from inside the skull. But awareness isn't inside the body. The body is an appearance within awareness. If you feel convinced that you are a separate entity sitting behind your eyes, the best thing to do is to try and find that entity. This isn't a philosophical exercise, it's a direct investigation. If you really are a pilot in a cockpit, you should be able to locate yourself. Try this. Look for the center of your knowing. Where is the I that is hearing these words right now? As you move your attention inward to find that spot behind the eyes, what do you actually find? You might find a sensation of pressure, a few thoughts, or a visual image of your own face. But are you those sensations? Are you that pressure? When people do this earnestly, they often report that the more they look for a center, the more the I seems to drift and become vague. You might step back from a thumb-sized feeling behind the eyes to a larger, room-sized area of witnessing. Eventually, if you keep looking for the boundary of your awareness, you find that there isn't one. Awareness is more like infinite space. It contains all locations, but it doesn't have a location itself. It is no thing in particular, yet it is that which makes everything possible to know. A great way to understand why awareness isn't stuck inside your head is to think about a dream. When you are dreaming at night, you feel like you are a character in that dream. You might be walking down a street, and in that dream you feel like your awareness is located inside that dream character's head. If someone in the dream asked you, "Where are you?" you would point to your dream chest or dream eyes. But where is your actual awareness during that dream? It isn't stuck inside the dream character's head. In fact, the entire dream, the street, the other people, the sky, and even your dream body is all happening within you, the dreamer. Your awareness infuses every molecule of the dream world simultaneously. Our waking life is exactly like this. We feel like we are a me inside a body, looking out at a world. But in reality, the body and the world are both just movements or appearances arising in the vast open space of awareness. You are the space, not the character. Because we are so used to focusing on the objects, thoughts, feelings, trees, cars, we forget the space, awareness they are appearing in. So, if we are actually this boundless space of awareness, why does the mind work so hard to make us feel small and localized? It all comes down to the I thought. The mind functions by labeling things. It puts a label on a chair, a tree, and eventually on me. The I thought acts like a magnet. It takes the pure sense of being or existence, the simple fact that you are present, and attaches it to a specific body and a specific set of stories. It says, I am this person with these problems, living in this head. As soon as this concept is believed, a boundary is created. There is now a me inside and a not me outside. This boundary is the root of all our psychological suffering. Once we believe we are a limited entity inside a head, we feel vulnerable. We feel like we have to defend our boundaries, improve ourself, and worry about what will happen to this me in the future. But this me is just a character in a story, an assumption we've never really checked. Like the blue color of the sky, which is just an effect of the atmosphere and not a real solid blue ceiling, the person behind the eyes is an appearance, not a reality. Imagine a large mirror. It can reflect a mountain, a trash can, or a human face. The reflections change constantly, but the mirror itself never moves, never changes, and is never touched by what it reflects. The mirror isn't inside the reflection of the face. The reflection is inside the mirror. You are the mirror. Your thoughts, your body's sensations, and the room around you are the reflections. When you finally start to see that awareness doesn't have a home base behind your eyes, a profound sense of relief often follows. If you aren't a small, localized entity, then the weight of the world isn't actually resting on your shoulders. You stop trying to get somewhere spiritually because you realize that the awareness you are looking for is the very thing that is doing the looking. You don't need to achieve enlightenment in the future because your natural state of being is already present and fully realized right now. The pilot was never actually in the head. There was only ever the open, clear sky of awareness. Living from this perspective doesn't mean you stop functioning as a human. You still eat breakfast, go to work, and pay your bills. But the identification has shifted. You no longer take yourself to be the limited, struggling character in the movie. You know you are the screen. If you find yourself getting sucked back into the cockpit feeling stressed, separate, and localized, you can always come back to the basics. Ask yourself a very simple question. Am I present? Am I aware? Don't answer with your mind. Don't look for a yes or no thought. Just notice the fact of your own beingness. Is there a sense of presence here? Of course there is. That presence is effortless. You didn't have to work to wake it up this morning, and you don't have to work to keep it going now. Now, look at that presence. Does it have a shape? Does it have a color? Does it have a boundary where it stops and the world begins? You will find that it is like the air in a room. The air is inside the vase, outside the vase, and everywhere in between. It isn't trapped by the walls of the vase. In the same way, awareness isn't trapped by the skull. The misunderstanding that awareness is located behind the eyes is just a habit of the mind, a way of speaking that we started to believe was a fact. But the truth is much more vast and much more intimate. You are the open, clear, and radiant space in which the whole universe is currently being born. Recognizing this is the end of the search, the end of the struggle, and the beginning of a natural, peaceful way of simply being who you already are. If you would like further support in stabilizing in the sense of pure being, you can join our online retreat. It combines teachings and guided meditations that lead you through 11 days, helping you naturally build the habit of meditating on a regular basis. And if you prefer to have a personal meditation at hand, we offer that as well. You can find all the information in the description box.